Hi, it's Mark from Training Spark here, and this is the fourth in a series of videos walking through the Business-to-Business Toolkit. And in the previous videos, we created this organization called HomeTech and created a LearnDash group that we associated with HomeTech. And you can see this reflected here. So on the Business-to-Business Toolkit organizations page, we can see HomeTech along with their logo, and we can see that it's got one group associated with it. But this has 0 users, so no users are registered within groups that belong to HomeTech. And in this video, we're going to look at how we enroll users into groups that belong to organizations. And there are 2 ways that the Business-to-Business Toolkit allows you to do this. You can either create registration forms to allow learners to self-register, or you could import them via a spreadsheet. And we're going to look at these over the next 2 videos. And in this video, we're going to look at registration forms. And registration forms are a great way to enroll users because they require less administration from you, and because you don't have to physically create the users, the learners create them themselves. And it allows the learners to create their accounts in their own time and set their own passwords. So let's take a look at a quick look at one of these. So we have an organization within the system called Rapid Files. I'm going to look at a registration form that we have set up for them. As you can see, it has the Rapid Files logo in the top left, and it has various form fields that the learner can fill in, and at the bottom they would simply create an account, and it would create an account for them on the system and enroll them into the specified group. So what we're going to do is create something similar for the HomeTech group, HomeTech organization. So what we'll do now is head over to the WordPress dashboard and go to Business-to-Business Toolkit and then choose registration forms from the options here. And as you can see, we have a registration form set up for each of the organizations we have in our site at the moment. And what we're going to do is create a new one for HomeTech. So I'm going to call this one HomeTech Registration. And let's have a look at some of the options. So firstly, we choose the organization which is associated with this reg form, and in this case, it will be HomeTech. And here we can choose the registration form status. So you might have a registration form that you want to create, but don't necessarily want people to register through to start with, in which case you might have an inactive registration form status. But more often than not, you probably want this to be active and allow people to start registering straight away. This can be changed at any point, so if you have an active registration form that you want to disable for any reason, you can do it here by this option. Now we have an introduction field, and this is the bit that appears above the form, and you can put anything in here, images or text, and it's just an introduction to the form. So we might say something like, please enter your details below. And now we'll have a look at licenses. And licenses are core to the way registration forms work, because the intention of license codes is to stop just anyone from coming along and filling in the registration form and getting access to your system. So what we add is these license codes that you would give out to an organization, and the organization would distribute them among their staff, and the staff would then come along and use that code to self-register on this registration form. So as an example, I will create one called HomeTech 2021. And what this means is that the learners will be given this code via their organization, and then when they come to register, they will enter that into this license code field here. And this code allows us to control a lot of the way the users are registered onto the system. And an example here is that you can choose what group this code would enroll learners into. And we are going to choose HomeTech December 2021 for the purpose of this video. But you could equally have multiple codes here that separate HomeTech members into different cohorts. So you might have a HomeTech January 2022, for example, and that would send people into a completely different group. So via one single registration form, you can send off learners into different LearnDash groups depending on the code they use. So we can also set how many licenses or seats or uses these codes have. So in this example, I might say that this code can be used 25 times. And each time someone uses the HomeTech 2021 code, it would deplete, and this would then increment this redeemed licenses column. So at the moment, we have this redeemed licenses field, which is a non-editable field. But what happens is, as these are used, that would go down and this would go up, and you'd be able to see how many times this license has been used by members of the staff. And it just gives you flexibility on how many codes or seats or licenses you want to give away to this organization. And if you ever want to add some more to it, so if they agree a deal for another 25, you could just increase that at any point until you can edit this registration form and add licenses at any point as needed. And the last thing that the code allows you to control is the page that the learners are redirected to when they register. So by default, if you leave this field blank, when they register, they will be redirected to your LMS homepage, but you might want to redirect them to a different page. And this could be a different page on your LMS, or it could be a completely different site altogether. So just as an example, what I'm going to do is redirect to Google, just to show you how that would work. So you might want to take people to your company homepage, for example, but more often than not, you probably want to keep them within your LMS and would link them to a certain page there, like My Account or something like that. So as I've mentioned, you can add as many fields as you like here, and many codes, and each one can operate in a completely different way and have its own number of licenses. And so you might potentially have different branches of a certain organization that have different codes, for example. We can also add a number of additional fields, and these are things that you might want to add, like telephone addresses, just to capture for your own use within the company. And these are all optional, so you can either have them completely hidden, you can show them as an optional field for the registrant to fill in, or you can have them as a required field. So as an example, I'll just fill in a few of these and make some optional and some required. We can also specify a terms and conditions link, and this could be a link to perhaps a terms and conditions page of your website. I will put something like HomeTech/terms as an example. And below that, we can add a welcome email that will be sent to each registrant when they register. And I can add this and say something like, welcome to the course. It's great to have you here. So this one's optional. If you don't put anything in here, no email will be sent. But it's usually good to give the registrants some sort of welcome into your course as they sign up. So once they sign up, they will be sent a simple email here that says, welcome to the course, it's great to have you here. Spell that one right. So if we scroll up and now save this or publish it, we now have a registration form for HomeTech. And just to give this a go, I'm going to copy the link and open this in a new window. We can see it's branded as HomeTech, and it has all of the custom CSS that we added in the over-branding video. And this is an example. I'm just going to put in some details here. As you can see, there are a few fields that have been added based on my selections, and some are required and some aren't. And here's where we enter the license code, and I'm just going to remember what that one was. I think it was HomeTech 2021. This would normally have been given to the registrant via an email or something that's distributed to them. And here the learners get to choose their own password, or they can generate it themselves in their browser usually. And here's where they accept the terms and conditions. So if you remember, we added some terms and conditions for HomeTech that would be accessible by this link. And they have to accept this if some terms and conditions have been set. If you leave that terms and conditions field blank, then this part of the form wouldn't appear and there'd be no obligation for them to tick it. But if you do put something in, they do have to tick to say that they have read and accepted them. So let's create my account, and if all goes well, this should redirect me to Google, which it has. So ordinarily you'd want them to stay on the form, but if they stay on the page, as you can see here, it would log them in automatically, and then they'll be able to get straight on with their course. They've enrolled onto these ones via their group, and then they can start straight away, and they're in the HomeTech group, they've got the HomeTech branding, and they're away with their course. So it's really easy for them to get started once they have been given access to the registration form and a code. In the next video, we're going to look at an alternative way to bring learners into your groups, and that is via user import from a CSV.